Hi, y'all. How are you? Thanks for waiting. Y'all are the best. It is definitely a grind on this side. Man, I have much respect for everyone who has been doing this so long, and I see why Baron went full time because it does. It takes like a whole day, if not more, to put it together. It's crazy. Um, hey, rabbit hole. I love that. How is everybody? Hey Nash, how are you? Who's moderating? Or Candace and Andrew on Friday? Oh, good. Yeah, you watch where you work. Yeah, listen, multitasking is the only way to be right now. I'm fixing things. Awesome. Okay. Let me do something. I'm going to pull this over on this screen. This looks a lot better, actually, for me. Okay. Alright. Hi, Bonnie. How are you? Prunella, yay. I'm glad that the notifications are working. You think it's... Has she announced it? Did y'all watch her show today? Oh, okay. I would have guessed that. That was not my guess at all. Let me look at my notes. Let's hang out for just a minute and see if some people can come in. Okay. Yeah, Nash. So for the past couple hours, I have not been in socials at all because it's crazy. I am such a perfectionist when it comes to like actually all things except this, which is a good thing because sometimes you just have to get it out there. But normally, if I did PowerPoint presentations or something, or if I was submitting something for court, yeah, it's definitely not like a written motion or anything, but I'm a perfectionist in that sense. But with these PowerPoints, because a lot of what I bring to you guys, I feel like has to have a visual. But I would choose different texts and layout and all that stuff if I had time. But really, in the last moment, it's like we just gotta have a go. Let me read what y'all are saying. You left Trigger Smart to watch a movie. What are you watching? Okay, so it's interesting because this morning when I really started thinking about what I wanted to do today, it was not another deep dive on the evidence because we've already done that, right? And but there were some things that came up, but then all of a sudden it kind of turned into the timeline was just really weird. So I switched over and decided to do this timeline versus what we know, what they've testified to, and just other stuff. It doesn't really match up. So let me go ahead and just get out. That's okay. That stuff can wait. Okay. Let me upload. We're just still kind of waiting for people to come in. So if y'all are catching it on the replay, definitely you can speed through some of it. Hey, Keza, how are you? I think everybody by this time of night is like totally pooped out. Also, Stasis on Hulu. Huh. What's that about? Charlie asked about. Oh, interesting. Gauze, hey, how are you? Okay, Prunella, what's your question? Yeah, let's take some questions. Oh, were you? Yeah, half asleep modding. Baron did a member show today, and that was great. But then, whenever we have Candace and Baron going, during the weekdays, that turns into like 3-4 hours. And then you're just pooped if you even have time. It's like um I don't have the bandwidth to pay attention to all of it, and who actually has the time, really. You got to be doing your laundry or something, so it's a lot to get them all in. Okay, so Rabbit, you like the early morning. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, y'all definitely hit the like button if you're not subscribed, which I would be surprised if you're not. Definitely subscribe. That's good to know. Surprisingly, the times I have done that early morning slot, tons of people have been in here. Oh, Nash, that's awesome. Thank you for being here, for sure. I really appreciate it, especially as I was saying, I mean, we're at like 8:15 Central Time, so I know it's a lot. So, you prefer the mornings too? Okay, okay. I was talking to Anna about that, and I was like, girl, I randomly hit the morning times, and also to kind of see if we could get some of our international people in here. And it was a really big hit, but it is so hard to commit to that time. But only because before you do a show, there's a lot of prep work going into it. So to think about being up, working out, being ready, like and camera ready before all of it is kind of, it's definitely a little intimidating, but I think we can probably make that work, especially if you guys really like it. And then you're not as worn out either. You can listen to it. So thank you for letting me know. Okay, let's see. Time for the camera and testimony did not match the night when TR was stopped. Cam says 6. Does the camera really say 6:36, Brunella? This is actually the topic that we're doing tonight, because I thought it was I see. I thought it was 30. And copy, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to write that down because I had double checked everything. So it's good to know. It couldn't have been 6:36 though, because the sun would have been up. But it is worth looking at because they have obviously altered so much. Okay, so I have a smaller crowd tonight, and that is awesome. So I can pull away as we kind of go through some of this and chat about it. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and jump in, okay? So this is called Did We Timeline Jump? XOX, the prosecution, because it seems like they can't get any of the timeline right. Okay, this is one thing I wanted to start out with. Do y'all remember Candace saying that she thought the car that was going into the parking garage had a single tailpipe? Do y'all remember that? And then we saw the Challenger that was being towed away, and it had a double tailpipe. Well, I've rewatched this so many times, and I do think that this is a clip from that I just grabbed with my phone off of my big TV. I do think that this car has a double tailpipe, and I emailed Candace to let her know, in case she wants to like pick that up or something. And the whole reason I really am kind of pushing that is that I'm going to concede that the car that was at UVU, for the sake of argument, was actually Tyler's car, because to me that makes a lot more sense. Like, I think we all think they were framed anyways. If not Lance and Tyler, at least Tyler. So to me, it just makes more sense that they would somehow utilize his car, right? Then go and get a new one. That would just be a lot easier. If I were going to frame someone, I would probably just use their exact car, right? Which leads me to think, like, why didn't they get DNA samples off of the steering wheel either? At number 18, free speech leech. I love that. What do you mean by 18? Okay, so we are going to approach this as if I'm conceding that this is his car, because I think that possibly Lance had his car that day. That's what everything is kind of leading me to think. So there's that. We can disagree later, but for the sake of this argument, let's just go for it. Okay, so what I've done is taken some of the timeline that I've had before and rearranged it to be relevant here, and added other things in as we've gone along. You like it too? Yeah. I think it'll make sense that it just makes sense that they used Tyler's car. I know that Agent Hull was like, oh, the tires are distinguishable. No, they're freaking not. They're really not. I think that's a standard issue wheel. When you think about it, think about like hubcap, actually. That's really what we're talking about. I think it's like 5 or 6 of those like spoke. I'm just going to call them spokes, but they're not spokes. But it's not, the wheels are not special on that vehicle. Also notice they did make a model, but they never told us what year that car was. That just seems like something relevant that they would have said. I'm sure we can go find it, right? But, whatever. Okay. So we're starting here on the 10th. Okay. And we've got, what year? We got a Dodge Challenger. Okay. I mean, is this not a murder trial? Like, give me the freaking VIN number, My goodness. Okay, so we have Lance in the left column, we have Tyler in the right, and then we have like the relevant notes in the center. And don't get too attached to those specific columns and the purpling, because let me tell you, whenever I had to format this stuff in the last minute, it was just, it all went to hell in a handbasket, really. So we'll go through it though. Okay, so before we start getting into the time, I just wanted to highlight that for Lance, we have not heard of any alibi for the 10th. And he even stated that he didn't have to work in that interview that they gave him. So where was he all day? What was he doing? Like, nobody's ever said what he was doing other than he said he woke up around 12 or 1. And this is why I just find this whole thing very suspicious. Like, why are they trying to get Lance off the hook? And maybe later we can discuss that at the end of this, because I know in my heart of hearts, I think that they were both patsies. And in some way, there must have been some negotiation to get them both off the hook some way. Otherwise, I really can't explain why the prosecution's witnesses are just so terrible. Let's see. Cell phones to ping. Yeah, exactly. There's so many things we could have all done. If y'all haven't seen the other presentations that we've gone through, there are so many things that they could have done. Yeah, forensic data analysis of everybody. Yeah, they didn't even do the cell bride extraction on Lance's phone until April. Yeah, there could be a handler. There could be a third. I mean, look, when we get down to the Nest footage from Mrs. Noble's house, there are 4 people. And I start to find it even more sus, because Agent Hull was testifying to it and he didn't say anything about the other people. All he says is that the officer had an interaction at the stoplight or whatever it was, and that Miss Noble had this footage. But it wasn't until Kathy Nestor got up there and cross-examined him that it came out. So it's like, why wouldn't you offer that information? So, okay. So we have not heard of an alibi for Lance. And some thoughts were, could Lance have taken Tyler's car on this day? Did Lance maybe drop Tyler off to go meet up with the coworkers? Because Lance did say that Tyler sometimes rode with the other guys to the job site. Remember, he's in an electrician apprenticeship, and I think he was like in his 3rd year of it. So I believe it was like his last year. But remember whenever they were interviewing him and they said, did he ever talk about politics? He said, no, not really. Maybe sometimes whatever it was that was on the radio whenever he was traveling with the other guys. And the apprenticeship is obviously like hands-on. So just depending on what the program had going on, like the jobs, I could see how they could be all over the place and probably driving a lot. And it probably saves on gas money and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So we'll go through this. About 4 or 5 o'clock, Lance says he hears Tyler leave for work. And he said that Tyler had said he had a long drive. Message that Anna Maud's got. Love it. And then we have, I put in here, it is a 4-hour drive from St. George to Orem. So whomever needed to leave, whomever ended up in Orem in that car that drove on campus had to have left the house by 4:30 at the latest to make it to UVU by 8:30. Yeah. Well, I don't think it like debunked the garage footage so much, but it definitely suggests that it was manipulated in a way to make him look smaller. But I reran that today on my, TV. I have a massive TV, and it really didn't look so much like he was less broad. It almost looked like the photos that we got were a little bit more zoomed in. Yeah, he was. I mean, he was. But replay it on a big screen. And I think the problem too, okay, here's the problem, is that the footage we got from inside the courtroom, if you rewatch Court TV, is that it's taking a video of the monitor, right? So it's already not, it's like the least professional thing ever. It's just taking a video of the monitor. So we're not even getting like the best footage. And so whenever I paused it and I tried to zoom in, it looked more like what we saw. Hi, George. Happy day to you. Welcome in. Let's see. Yeah. Well, so that's the apprenticeship program I thought could provide an alibi, because I wondered why we haven't heard that yet. So what is going on, right? What is going on? That's okay, Crunk. We literally just started. We're talking about how possibly Lance had taken Tyler's car. I conceded that the car that went to the garage at UVU was Tyler's car. And I zoomed in on the tailpipe, and I did see that it was a double exhaust, like the one that was being hauled away or towed. So, yeah, there could be some other things going on. And why Tyler's apprenticeship program doesn't provide an alibi. And we have Lance saying that, he knew that Tyler had to work that day. And there is no alibi for Lance. He just kind of maybe wakes up between 12 and 1. Okay, so someone would have to leave by 4:30 at the latest to get to UVU by about 8:30. And then if you see in the chart, I just kind of skipped over about 8:30 till 11 because it's all the garage campus footage, and it's it's confusing the way it goes, but really for this point, we don't have to go through it all. Okay, so then at 11 a.m., just to get you guys back into some context to where we're at here, we have the suspect. He walks off campus, right? And what they're not saying is like fill in the blank. So what the implication is that he went back to the wooded area to change his clothes and stuff the gun down his pants. They didn't tell us that, but that's what it is. And then if y'all remember yesterday, Candace says at 11:28, Tyler sends a word of the day wordle to somebody, right? So the right-hand side is assuming that Tyler is at work and that he doesn't have his car. Maybe not. I do think that it was his car that somebody else had. It could also still be him on campus. I don't know that. I'm just saying some of this could be better explained. Okay, so between walking off campus and between coming back to campus, apparently Tyler is sending Wordle days. And then at 11:53, he returns with a backpack, different clothing, and a limp. And it looks as if he's like sending a text, but because he stops there on the stairs, but they don't ever bring that back up. Like, did they ever look at his phone? They say that they did, but it seems like that would be slam dunk right there. And then we have Lance waking up between noon and 1. And this is about the time that the suspect is walking alongside Losi. And this is really just more for context for you guys. And then about 12:17, we have him rolling over the railing onto the top of Losi. And then at 12:23 is when we have Charlie being shot or whatever happens, right? Hey, everybody, come on in. And actually, this is where I started off this morning. I wasn't going to do a timeline. That's not at all what I was thinking. What really was interesting to me is they sent in swabs of like railing that people touched or that they thought he touched. But whenever I was going back through the footage, I never even saw him touch a railing. And I assume that there could be video or, he could have touched the hand railing at some other time. But when I'm looking at it through that lens, it looks as if someone told them, do not touch the railing. Because whomever it was not touching it. Even whenever he was having a hard time walking, nobody touched it. So I would really like to know where that swab came from. It did return back inconclusive because they had like 5 or more people on it. But, they should be labeling that stuff. That's another critique. It's just, this is absurd. I'm running back through here to see what y'all have to say. Lance may have had to have been directed by a higher up hand this whole bit. Maybe he had some concern he would be the main patsy, so he dragged Tyler into it. Yeah, without Tyler even knowing. I agree. I feel like Lance was supposed to be the main target and Tyler got roped into it. And maybe it was an afterthought of, we'll get you off the hook. Maybe it was Tyler, Lance, help us orchestrate all of this. And then you can go and run away to Texas. Yeah. And be an out-of-state witness. And we won't call you a co-conspirator. And then we will just have such a trash trial that he'll never have to go to jail. And then we've gotten away with everything we needed to get away with. Otherwise, I really don't know why this is such a horrible, case. It's embarrassing for the state. Lance to be allowed to speak too freely. Yeah, they don't want him to speak freely. I think the young man has schizophrenia or something similar. In his interview, it almost seemed like not that he was sedated. I don't want to say that, but he was very cool, calm, collected, no affect. I think he forgot half the things they told him to say because it didn't match up with the narrative that they have given us. And if you didn't notice, like they were filming half of his interview, and then half the time it would cut out and it would just be black, so you're not seeing him, but the audio is still going. So with AI, I have to wonder now, if we can't see him on camera, what was the point of redacting that part out? Like, was he really saying those things? Um, yeah, I have a lot of questions. I think everybody does. Okay. All right, we are moving on. I'm glad y'all are here. Okay. So let's just go back. So we've got the Charlie incident at 12:23, right? Then we have nothing going on. They want you to think that nothing goes on until maybe, let's see, like 6 p.m. or so. Well, actually, it's later than that. Those are just my notes. Okay, so they don't even bring this up. But at 4:33, Tyler sends a text to Lance saying like, "I love you, mwah," and then Lance responds back. But the interesting thing to me is this never gets brought up. Hey, Cheesy, thank you. Like it and subscribe, please. Hit the like button in here if y'all are in here, please. Thank you. The relevant notes I have here is that Agent Davis had this like in front of him, right? And he doesn't even acknowledge this text, even though it's on the screenshot. So if you guys zoom in, you can see that at 4:33, the text is right there. And then it drops down to 11 o'clock. No, I don't think they were lovers either. Think of a screenshot. Thank you. Thank you. I don't think that they were lovers either. I think that they were like, you're kidding me. We're being framed for this and we have to say that we're gay. Like, with the way Lance handled it, he said that we started dating, a couple months after he moved in. He said nothing else. They asked him, do you guys share a room? No. And that's the only thing that ever came up. Yeah. So funny to me that Agent Davis says that the first text that Tyler sends Lance all day long is 11 p.m. And even Lance says that. He says, no, he didn't text me until 11 p.m. that night. Are you like, is this a massive gaslighting campaign? Because I'm staring at this and I see something at 4:33. Yeah, definitely always log out of your media accounts. But I don't think that this was Tyler. Well, they might have had access. You know what, though? With the way this is going, he could have just named anybody Tyler. And they say, no, we checked it and it was, Tyler's number. I don't believe them. Does anybody else believe them? All you'd have to do is change anybody's contact to Tyler. And if I'm being completely honest, do you guys know who this sounds like? It doesn't even sound like ChatGPT to me. It honestly sounds like Blake Neff. Just with like the way he's talking, it seems like some, I don't know. I don't want to make fun of anybody who goes to like medieval revival, Renaissance festivals because it's cool, but it almost seems like this whole lofty romantic thing. I'm gonna read some of your stuff. I wonder if it makes sense if you swap the conversation or read Tyler. Yeah. Did y'all notice though that the texts from Lance were so not calibrated to what Tyler is telling him? Like Tyler is allegedly confessing what he just did, and Lance is like, no way. Like, why did you do that? okay, be safe. It's almost as if the two, whoever it was, back and forth, maybe it was to themselves, were prompting each other with what they were saying. But I don't know, if that was real, don't you think you'd be like, what the fuck, right? Like, who responds like that? How long have you been planning this? Okay, we'll be safe. Do you need that gun for hunting? Like, what? Yeah. Do you need that gun for hunting? Bro, y'all's apartment has a ton of guns all over it. Like, why would you even ask that? Yeah. Okay. So here's this. Now, moving on. Okay. So this is still my timeline and other stuff we filled in, not necessarily from what they testified to. Yeah. I think that the Tyler's car, they could have just swapped cars that morning because he had talked about how Tyler had to get up to go to work. And it would be just as easy to be like, hey, can I have your car for the day? Or if they both knew that this had to happen, they would have known to switch cars. Why the antique? I know, Mauser. So they couldn't trace it with all the guns. Why that one, right? I kind of think it was something along the lines of using these guys as patsies and trying to guarantee that they would get away with it. Yeah, same with the Discord. He was already in custody. Yeah. I like this. This is good. Y'all are smart. Okay. So this is still some of my timeline. So at 6 p.m. that night, right, Falmina is called to the gun in the bushes. Y'all remember Agent Falmina? She was the evidence. She's in charge of collecting evidence. So at 6:38, that is when we get that photo of, or that video footage or whatever, of Tyler allegedly being in the Dairy Queen in Orem. I haven't decided whether I think that is legitimate or not, but I worked it in here to see if it would work with the timeline, okay? So I say in here for relevant notes, it isn't unreasonable to see Tyler in Orem if he was there for work that day. He could have been with other people. He could have taken Lance's car. Like, where was Lance's car all day? And he would have been driving, but he would have been driving a vehicle for sure because he shows up in Panguitch alone. So that kind of throws the whole theory of him riding with people to work out the window. But it'd be totally reasonable that he and Lance swapped cars or something. Okay, so what? Also, if we get this timestamped at 6:38, which I've never seen a timestamp on it, but Tyler allegedly did the crime. What was he doing for 6 hours? That's interesting. Tyler worked for his dad and wrote the guys to work. Is his dad an electrician? I do think that he is in construction, but I know that Lance helped out his dad. His dad does do construction. And of course, I creeped around and stuff. He helps him install bathtubs. Oh my gosh, Cheesy, thank you for the cup of coffee. Big time. I so appreciate it. Yeah, if anyone is wondering how to support me at this stage, because I'm not monetized yet, y'all can go to the link and send me a cup of coffee, but you do not have to, no obligation. But if you want to, it's there. Thank you so much. Has anyone seen a picture of the gun that was not already in the cardboard box? No. I also thought it was interesting that the cardboard box was exactly the size of a rifle. Then again, it is SBI, and maybe they do have those kind of boxes on hand. Hoping that Uchis have bad, yeah, okay. Oh, his dad owns a paver company. You guys. Y'all sure it's a paper company? Okay. Mid-break. Hang on. Let me write that down. Tyler's dad is a Mason? Or is it Lance's dad? Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, somebody tell me. Is it Tyler's dad or Lance's dad who owns the masonry? Okay. Thank you. You think it has anything to do with the pavers? Yeah. Yeah, I see that. But how odd is it that they called in a paver favor? It's another thing. All right. Great, you guys. Now I'm going to be running down that. Okay. All right. So if it's true that he was in Orem, okay, at the Dairy Queen at 6:38, he definitely could have stopped in Panguitch on the way back home to St. George, right? And if that's true, if it is true that he was in Orem at 6:38, he would make the 3-hour drive to Panguitch in about 2.5 hours, which if you're, speeding or like traffic's not bad, that's not that unreasonable. A paper favor. Yeah. That is crazy, you guys. We're going to have to follow up on that. Okay. And then there's a reference later on to, and I have it in the next slide. There's a reference to seeing the pooches with the bad sniffers. He says that at around midnight, right? But he also says 3 hours ago, which would have put it at 9 p.m. But it's impossible he saw this if he was going to Panguitch because he would have been driving. So let me pull that one up. Okay, so y'all see this? 3 hours ago, there was an officer with a canine walking nearby the area, hoping that Pooch has a bad sniffer, right? So this is around midnight. But if we go back, we know for sure he was in Panguitch. At least that's what I totally believe. And if he was in Panguitch, but also, was in Orem at 6:38, he was driving at like 9 o'clock. Yeah, the pooches. I think they were trying too hard, to be honest with you. I think that they were trying way too hard. Oh. Okay. So at 9:10, they take his order at Cowboy's Steakhouse in Panguitch, and I know that that's the time of the that they took his order because it's on the receipt. So if it's true that he ordered at 9:10, there's no way he was around at 9 o'clock to see the pooches with the bad snippers. Thank you, Krunk. Thank you very much. Okay. Also relevant is that he is by himself. So he is driving a vehicle of some sort, whether it is his or somebody else's. But we don't really know which one. So right before closing, they close at 10. He checks out at about 9:47. And just recall this: if he left Panguitch by 10, they are suggesting that, well, first of all, they did not foresee this Panguitch thing happening. So this was something different that popped in. But if we want to go with their narrative and we sent him back to Orem, he wouldn't be in Orem until 1 a.m. Maybe 12:30 if he was speeding. And at the same time, he had to pick up 3 people. So that's going to do. Okay, listen, he's a 22-year-old kid. Do you guys know how much boys eat? I don't want to call him a boy. He's a young man, but to me, I'm thinking, okay, We have no idea what he was doing all day. That's why I think he was working or something with his apprenticeship, because he, if he really did the crime at about 12:30 and he goes to Dairy Queen at 6:30, like what was he doing for 6 hours? It makes a lot more sense if he was around Orem, had taken somebody else's car there, and then got off work and was like, you know what, I really want to go to Panguitch on the way home and eat, a steak, but I think I'm going to just stop off at Dairy Queen and get something. Boys are like that at that age. Yeah, it's crazy. And the chubby one of the two is actually like Lance. He was such a cute kid. I don't know what happened within a couple years. He was adorable, really. And yeah, they're only 22. So I think too, just as if, just like we don't think they were boyfriends, I think this whole idea that Lance is a horrible person could also be BS too, right? They weren't furries either. He was being a bad fake furry friend. I know, he's probably like, I'm never going to be able to date a girl again because of this. Okay. So, right, if he's at Cowboys and we put him back at Orem, like they want him to be back in Orem, right? He wouldn't be there until 1, maybe 12:30 if speeding, but he also had to pick up 3 people in his car. Because in Panguitch, he doesn't have the 3 people, but Miss Noble says that there was a driver who was bald. That's definitely not him. Unless you're like thinking of like premature balding in the back, because I think he is doing that. But the kid has also been under a ton of stress. But yeah, there are 4 people in that car. Yeah, I just shot a man and jumped off a roof. I think I want a blizzard. It's been 6 hours of me doing nothing. I think I'm going to go get a blizzard to hold me over for that steak. Okay, so let's see. This was the is this the pooch one? Hang on, let me see. She circled back. All right, let me read this 3 years ago. Okay, on hoping the pooch. Sounds like the police couldn't get him. You stay. I'm going to be late. Whatever. I think that was about the pooch. Okay. So, let me read this stuff. His sugar crashed after the adrenaline dump. I know. He was having a hypoglycemic moment. I'm sure it takes a lot of energy to freaking, jump on a roof. And the thing is, what we're actually trying to figure out is just if the guys were on campus that day, right? Hey, Justin, come in, because I don't think any of us think that either one of them was on the roof. I don't. That was somebody else. Do you think that they were going to like risk one of these 2 guys jumping off the roof and like twisting an ankle and not being able to get away? Y'all, come on. So all of this is just to literally figure out like where these guys were. At least between all of us. Okay. Reading in your, okay, good. I'm glad you're in your chair. Sit tight. Okay. So at 11, this is when Lance receives that auto text. Do you guys remember? It was supposed to be a text that he had automatically set to send because he didn't, just in case he didn't come home or he didn't make it, in that he forgot to delete it. Who would wear high socks and wouldn't break a leg jumping off a roof? Someone without legs, yeah. My cat is in my arms eating biscuit. Oh, that's so cute. My dogs make biscuits, actually. Okay, so if that's true, right, and this text sends, well, they start communicating back and forth. And apparently, this is while Tyler's driving. And y'all saw all the back and forth going on, right? because he would have to be driving back to Orem from Panguitch. They did not expect us to find the Panguitch stuff. So from, let's see, 11 to 12:30, yeah. So 12:30 is when they say that there's an interaction with that police officer at the light. So he must be, doing all that texting and driving. But at the same time, he says at 11 o'clock, stuck in Orem for a little while longer. But you're not even there yet, right? It implies he was there at 11 whenever this text sent out. And he says, I'll update you by midnight. But Tyler couldn't have been in Orem until 12:30 or 1. They really did not anticipate the Panguitch thing coming out. I don't think so. Let me show you guys. Let's see. I'm okay, but in Orem for a little while longer. Let's see. Yeah. So the only thing I can think of is like, is he a lying boyfriend? Yeah. This is why this stuff is so confusing, because none of it matches up. And this is also why I feel like this sounds like Blake Neff. Sorry. Okay, so we roll over onto the night of the 11th, right? We're at midnight. And if Tyler had actually gone home from Panguitch to St. George, he would have been there by midnight. So the alternative, narrative that we can think about is that he actually stopped at Dairy Queen. He was probably working in Orem that day, stopped at Dairy Queen, was like, okay, on my way home, I'm going to stop in Panguitch, but I'm starving right now. And then he stops in Panguitch, and then he comes on home. And if that were the case, he would have been home by midnight into St. George. And we know that he had to work the next day based on the text that he's complaining about, because y'all remember he was like, I really hope I can get this thing that I don't have to wait till 3, because then I still have to drive back and go to work. Yeah, exactly. Not a flock camera in all view to my ass. Color it's called. Yeah. Well, we know it wasn't the boys. That's the thing. So this is why it's like so frustrating. Okay. So at 12:30, there's allegedly an interaction with Officer Goforth at the intersection right there at UVU, which would have required Tyler to have made a 3-hour drive in 2.5 hours, right? He would be having to come back from Panguitch and also pick up 3 additional people. And Candace did a good job yesterday talking about how the car itself interacted with Officer Goforth, not necessarily the other way around. And remember, they said they grabbed half a license plate. Like, when does that ever work? And in addition, it was interesting because on the stand, the, Agent Hull, and Kathy Nestor gets him for this, doesn't say, she's like, well, what does the officer say? That he believed it was Tyler Robinson. And it's like, well, what about a bald man and then 3 other men in the car got missed here? Like, what made him think that was Tyler Robinson? And also, he hadn't even turned himself in yet. They didn't even have his name. Yet. So why did they think it was Tyler Robinson? And interesting that he didn't. This is the problem with like hearsay or somebody else not there to speak to what they said, is if Officer Goforth is being truthful, he probably said, yeah, there was a bald guy driving and 3 other guys. But it took Kathy Nestor bringing that out. That's why I don't trust Agent Hull. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, even though he sounds like, this hedgehog with an Australian accent. But See. Oh, yeah. They definitely had flock cameras. Video of the gas station tape. Prunella, that was the next morning. So that's in here. Okay. Sorry, this stuff is kind of like, but you know, after putting it together, it makes more sense. And if you guys want these slides, it can help too. And you can fill in the blanks yourself. That's why it's so confusing, is because we've just got different things going on. So to me, I would think that Tyler probably went home and went to bed to get ready for work the next day, having no idea that this was being set up, or he did know and he had given his car to Lance or whomever, right? Because we allegedly see that car on the Nest doorbell, but I still don't even know how they identified that as being the car. Okay, so let's keep going. So that's 12:30, and then at 12:38 we have the Noble Nest footage. We don't have any timestamps though. I don't recall how we got 12:38, but it's either 12:38 or 12:36, and I did pick that up during testimony. But we don't know how long they were sitting there, and the footage should never have even entered evidence because it was altered in the sense that they stitched it together. There were like Hull said he did not put it together, right? He said somebody else did, but when it's edited like that, he said somebody gets out of the car, walks away, and then comes back, and then they get in and they drive off. But I didn't see any of that. Did anybody see any of that? You can't see it. And how does Miss Noble know that there are 4 people, one of them's bald and 3 other guys? They probably got out of the car. But we didn't get to see that footage. Yeah, our government has seriously failed us. It is insane that citizens have to do this. Yeah, I can do that, Prunella. Let's get to the end of this, and then I'll pull it up. Okay, so at the same time, he's allegedly sending text saying like, I'm sitting in my car watching reels for another hour. It really doesn't sound like he's sitting in his car with 3 other dudes and they're actually about to get out and go find this gun. And on top of that, the address for Miss Noble's house is literally right there where the bushy area is where they found it. Okay. Oops. Hold on, y'all. Work never stops. Okay. And then 1:45, I think that this is when Candace said that the car was last seen in Orem. So I guess maybe that is the last time we had it on the Nest camera, but I never saw that. I don't know where that came from, but she just may know, or there's something I missed. So, okay. Let's see what this one is. Oh, I think that this is him just saying that he's going to like sit in his car and watch reels or something. Let's see. Some old. Yeah. I actually had things circled on here. Let's go on. Okay. So now it's rolling into, right, the next morning. It's 9/11. And, which it would be 9/11 whenever they are caught on that Nest film, doorbell, whatever. So at some point, Lance like wakes up in the morning and states that, and this wasn't really clear, like the timeline going on here. So he states that Tyler was up doing things around the house, and that sometime later, like Lance is texting about doing laundry at his own parents' house. This is what he said in the interview. And then he said he would go home to see Tyler so that Tyler wouldn't go to Lance's parents' house because cops might have been there. I don't know. and that Tyler says it's true what he did, and he would tell his parents and turn himself in. But we never saw these texts. Why can't we see the text? And the way in which he says this in the interview makes it sound like there were different points during the day that the stuff was said. But I'll leave it at that. But like at 6 o'clock in the morning, this is when those texts from Tyler had complained about having to go to work, right? So if he did do all this and then he came home, he had to turn around and go to work. However, if he had stayed, like if he had just gone home, like I think he probably did, he would have actually like left at 6 a.m. and was spotted getting gas in Cedar City at 7 a.m. So it was about 7 whenever he was seen getting gas, which to me makes sense if he's going to work. I mean, right? I don't think that's weird. I think that helps. Probably because his pretend boyfriend used his car and didn't put gas in it. Oh my gosh. And then when it's like, well, what was Lance doing all day on 9/11? Right? Because it's not, yeah, this timeline is like a big deal because it's got so many things going on at one time. And it shows where we were not given text messages, because I watched his interview on top of listening to it the first time around. I was just listening and I thought we were getting these text messages, but that's not true. We didn't get any text messages about this. I know the guy who was setting you up would at least put gas in your car. He was like, now I feel like I'm actually in a real relationship with a shitty boyfriend. Right? But what was Lance doing all day, right? So 9/11, we have no idea what Lance was doing on 9/10. We have no idea what Lance was doing on 9/11. Okay, so this is just an expanded view. So we jump from 7 a.m., which is whenever we see him in Cedar City. Yeah, cheap pirate hookers for sure. And then we jump all the way to 7:48, and allegedly that's the last text to Lance, but I never saw it. I don't know that ever made it into evidence. And I think that's one of those alleged confessions, that we're waiting on. At 7:57, this is whenever he sends a Discord message saying he's going to turn himself in. I don't think that we saw that either, but I bet the people in the Discord chat did see something. So, yeah, there's a whole 12 hours. We have no idea what's going on. At 8:30, that's when Agent Davis, received a call stating that someone was going to turn himself in. So, they make arrangements to fly down. And then he says that he was told that Tyler came in with his parents and Mike Mitchell at 9. Davis lands in St. George at 11:30. And then so this is Agent Davis again. He arrives at Washington County Sheriff's Office at midnight. And then it was after that Lance comes down at some point. We don't even talk about who asked him to be there. And that's when they take the pictures on his phone. They don't confiscate his phone. They don't do, an extraction at that point. And it's interesting that they had confiscated Tyler's phone, and they say that there was an extraction done. And they say that he gave sent these messages. But if this were a real prosecution and he had really done it, don't you think that they would have so much more to say about that? Yeah. And then, you go to 7 a.m., 8 a.m., he's taken to jail and booked. And I think that I'm going to go back on some of y'all's messages. Let's see. I act like I have it for a year. I wanted to use it. Oh, here was the other thing. I don't know why this didn't circle. That's weird. Okay, so I found it funny that Lance talking about inappropriate reactions was like, did you need the gun for the hunt? This is so stupid. Obviously, that's not what you're going to think. Oh gosh, can you guys? I hope you get to hunt. Do you guys have other guns? Of course we all have other guns. Why would you do that? And then he says his dad wanted a higher caliber for the rifle hunt. First of all, who calls it a rifle hunt? I'm just now realizing that. Who calls it a rifle hunt? And who also is like, oh, my dad needs a higher caliber. Really? Because a 30-06 cal like would have taken out a moose, as we know. Like, what are you guys actually hunting? This stuff is just so stupid. And then he says he's headed home 3.5 hours. Yeah, so that is that. I know it's a lot, it's a little bit jumbled, but y'all are welcome to take it and like apply what you know in the in between and review it, and it'll start to make a little bit more sense or less sense. There you go. Well, there's a rifle muzzleloader and bow hunting. Yeah, there is bow hunting, but it's like I don't think that they bow hunted, and it's just like who calls it rifle hunting, you know? Yeah, we're going on a rifle hunt. I had never even like I don't think that they bow hunt. They could, but why would he make the distinction? Oh, Nash, are you leaving us? Okay, thanks, Nash, for staying until the end. I know it's late. And this one was just like exhausting to go through. It's so boring, but also enraging. Let's see. Average gay heterosexual relationship. I know it is your average gay heterosexual relationship. Listen, if one of them was an actual girl, that shit wouldn't. I'd be like, if you're gonna the next time you're a patsy to murder, you're gonna fill up my gas tank. Okay. Like seriously, it's the least you can do. 7:48 p.m. So what else did he do all day? What did either one of them do all day? Yeah, Justin, you can use this for this and the other chronology I have if you want to draw a timeline. The thing with this one was I was operating, it was hard to figure out how to put side by side a couple different narratives and scenarios so that we could see it in real time. Like it's one thing if we go with what they're saying, but the reason I added in the other stuff is because we know it just doesn't match. So it's like, what's going on? Good night, Nash. Thank you for calling, for being in here. I'm gonna shoot me a rifle in the wild. Yeah. Bring the pooch with a good sniffer for the rifle hunt, my love. But did y'all notice that he says my bee too, like a normal person? Like my bee. Spending time together is always a blast. Yeah. Oh man, y'all. Doesn't shoot guns often. I'll act like I have it for a year or 3. I don't know. Some of this stuff. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun just gonna do just fine. If you know, you know. That was a $2,000 scope. Sad. Like, okay. Maybe you should have thought about that before you used it. But the thing is, it didn't even happen. That's not how Charlie died. This whole thing is so aggravating. Yeah, you know what's bizarre is that this is evidence, but also what's bizarre is what is not in evidence. The fact that they were allowed to stitch together the nest footage, but not show the 4 people that were in the car. We're going on a rifle hunt. It reminds me of like Looney Tunes, not Looney Tunes. What was the original one? What's the original? Tiny Toons. Maybe it is Looney Tunes. Maybe that is the original one. But Tiny Toons, I think, was the newer one. Elmer Fudd. It reminds me of Elmer Fudd, y'all. Sounds so bad when you say it. Yeah, it's like, okay, so it's like people who don't know what they're talking about would call it a rifle hunt, right? Like nobody actually speaks like that. Like you don't, yes, that's correct, but like no. Oh, Mr. Feelgood, thank you. I'm sorry that this one was so damn boring. Like this was at least to go through, but it is at least interesting. Tiny Toons had the baby tunes. Yeah. Rabbits using dope. Or rabbits. Be very quiet. I know. Ugh. You guys, this is the pre-trial hearing for the murder of Charlie Kirk. And it's not even the worst. It's not even like, this is just like a snippet of it. This is just the timeline. Let me actually, give me just a second. I'm going to go through here and see what other notes I was taking this morning before I got on it. Listen, I'm so ADHD, you guys, if y'all haven't figured it out. This takes me it's like a concerted effort to stay on track. But this morning, I was like, all right, what really sparked my interest this morning was, I sound so silly. I already mentioned it earlier, but I was like, okay, they took swabs of the hand railing, but nothing came back. And then I was like, I'm going to watch the video and see if they even touched the damn handrail. And then they never touched the handrail. And I was like, all right. Well, they're bad at labeling, one. It's not, I was definitely, my initial gut reaction was, were the analysts, the 3 analysts, were any one of them falsifying the results? But they weren't, and they're not. In fact, I think that they were the best witnesses of all because they really just showed up and did their job, and they all came up with Lance and Tyler, right? Like, obviously, duh. We expected that. Then at least they got both of the guys. I do wish that they would have asked a very specific question about deterioration, because we know, oh my gosh, this sounds like my last one. If y'all need to know about the DNA, just go back and watch the last one. Maybe have a drink while you do it. It's not bad though. But we know that you can't tell when DNA is deposited, but if you have like 4 or 5 contributors on a sample and the major one is the most deteriorated and they're not all deteriorated, I would have liked for the attorney to have asked, can you tell anything? Does that tell you anything? Because she might have been able to answer it and might have had an answer. You got to remember, they're getting up there and they are just answering the questions that they are asked specifically without going every other direction. So if the attorney doesn't ask it, they're not going to be prompted to, say anything. But let me see what else we have here. Yeah. The handrail has, they had more than 5 people, so they threw it out. I bet it wasn't even either Tyler's or Lance's. You can tell that it's like somebody told them, do not touch anything, because they're like walking like this, even whenever you've got that huge gun in his, like the butt of the rifle is supposed to be in his pocket, and that thing is like 4 feet long. That is the most, I'm just going to call it as retarded thing I have ever heard. It's insulting. This is the most insulting trial ever for the murder, the public execution of someone. I'm bailing hardcore. It's okay. To be mature, the only test in one direction, they tried to load evidence to ensure twigs away. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter who is the major and the minor contributor. It has, like, if your DNA shows up, then your DNA shows up. The only reason they have a major and a minor contributor, and you can have more than one major, right? It's just another way to analyze the data, but it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say who deposited it last, who had more contact with it. It just means somebody's DNA shows up more than somebody else's. Okay. What are we talking about with Bozeman, Montana? Whipple wabbits. Let's see. They have more actual evidence. It was George then. I mean, true, right? It really, like, it wasn't anybody we know. It didn't even, that fatal shot didn't even come from the Losi Center. I fell asleep. Glad I woke up a little pro though. Oh gosh. Only tested one direction. Sorry, I was trying to be mature. Okay. Yeah, so 70% of like 4 plus samples, like 4 plus contributors show up as 2 to 3, which I thought was the best point that the attorney made for the methodology not being correct. But he had to attack something. But here's the point. Tyler is on trial for murder. What matters is that his DNA is on it to get over the preliminary. So even if we had other people's DNA on it, which we do, the standard for probable cause is with Tyler. So let's say other people's DNA showed up on it, that wouldn't come in until trial. Does that make sense? It's like very specific. Is there probable cause to believe that Tyler could have done it? Sticking your britches is hard. I know. Did y'all see that one of my videos is labeled, is that a 30-06 in your pants? Or are you just happy to see me? Just about, I know. Boy, miss. Meat Eaters Companies in Bozeman. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see like all of that stuff came from their house. So, duh. It's like we all know it. What you guys are not doing is showing that he was the guy on the roof, and or also that the fatal blow was, rendered by the guy on the roof at all. Hey, Mad Max, how are you? Did the guys from Chips respond first on the scene? I don't know. It could have been better. I pulled a rifle out of my pants to sit down and watch this. Oh my gosh, I know. They're acting like this is Columbo. Okay, so let me just run down this list of things. Give me just a second, because this was my initial ADHD ramblings this morning, and I don't want to lose them just in case they're important. Okay. First, where did he touch the railing? I don't know. He never freaking did. I think we made this clear that I think it's his vehicle. Okay, we covered that. If y'all are just now joining, definitely go back, listen to it on 1.5 speed. This one was difficult to get through because of how it was set up. But in the very beginning, I included a screenshot of the Challenger going into the garage, and I did see a double muffler on it. So I do think it is Tyler's vehicle. Who was driving it? I don't know. But it explains the whole thing. If we can just like concede that it was his car, we can still get through the rest of the stuff without it like, all right, Oh, this is the other thing. I think I think Diligent and a couple of other people went to UVU. That parking garage is a paid parking garage. Whoever it was I was listening to on a space said that there was no like arm, you know what I'm talking about? Or no place to pay. I think we need somebody to go there and see what's going on, because I wonder if it's one of those where you take a ticket whenever you enter in, and then when you enter out, you pay for it. But they were saying it wasn't. But it's not free. I can guarantee you that. And it's not a parking pass garage either. I mean, it may be like guest parking, but I guarantee it's not, because the map, I went and looked at the map of all the parking, and it is labeled as a pay for. You don't think it's his vehicle leaving the garage? I'll definitely take another look at the front side. Yeah, serious question. Do they think we're really this stupid, beds local cops and overalls? But no, in fact, I think they know we're not. And either they didn't think it was going to get this far, or they don't care. And the scarier thing is like the idea of them waving this around in front of us and still saying, what are you going to do about it? That's a scarier reality. Oh, he drove a base mod. No, but I'm telling you, like, this had a double pipe on it. Definitely go look back at it. Car in the garage. Yeah, right? What's he mean? Yeah. At this point, we're all arguing, like, we're trying to figure out something that we ultimately know. Like, it was neither one of those guys on the roof. And we also know that it was not the guy on the roof who killed Charlie. So see what they've done. Maybe this was part of the plan. Okay, so I want to know how somebody paid for this. Okay. I think it was sketchy. As I've said, that Agent Hull did not just come out saying who all was in the vehicle. Okay. And y'all, who is this bald guy and 4 people? Yeah, the bumper doesn't match at all. The license plate holder is not one. Okay. Prunella, I will definitely look at that. Let me write that down. Okay, let me do some other things. Let's see. We should have, let's see. Lead to BTR. Yeah, I think I already mentioned this. Why didn't they do a DNA swab of the car, like the steering wheel? The reason why they didn't do this stuff is they didn't want us to have any evidence. The reason why they said hold off on the backpack that they've already swabbed and sampled and like sent in, they were like, don't do a report on it. I think it's a rhetorical question. It's just so infuriating. Let's see. Let's just keep going here. I guess the other crimes. Oh yeah, this is funny. These are my rambling thoughts. How do you swab a towel? Anybody know? How do you swab a towel? Blake rented a Hellcat because they went. Okay, Blake would drive a Challenger though. You know, no offense to anybody out there at all. Yeah, like they rambling thoughts. Yes, I know y'all see. This is the hour of the night I'm in here reading y'all my rambling thoughts. You bring it out. I know. Dab it exactly. Like what part of it? Yeah, but what? Like, Justin? Do you do the whole towel? Soak it, evaporate the water. But water will ruin DNA. And evaporation will do it too if you expose it to heat. But I don't know what you do. Swab the dick. And also I'd be like, what other step are they gonna? What kind of DNA did they find on that towel? I don't know. Look, do you do the whole thing? It's very clear that I increasingly get more and more insulted. I mean, Justin, that would be ideal, right? Like you do almost like farming, right? Like your rows of farms. But we know that they did not send in plenty of Q-tips. They only gave them like one Q-tip each, and we're like, use it. This is all you have. Yeah. Be able to do this swipe. Yeah, but like what part do you like? Was it a hand towel? Was it a big towel? Like, what do you do? Just like go all the way back and forth? I mean, maybe you just like, like a marker or something and just hope it picks up on something. But I also think there were other ways to verify. I mean, yeah, sure, like go ahead and do the DNA, but it could be like, hey, is this from your matching set from your high school graduation that your parents got you? Does it have embroidery on it? Does it have like LT for Lance Twigs? Yeah, it did look like a black bath towel. I know. Ask Lance's mom. Thank you. Well, Cheesy, I don't think that you meant it like that. I do think his mom has a lot to do with stuff. Let me see. Let me see my other rambling thoughts. Maybe Paramount knows how to solve a furry suit. Okay, does anybody else, do y'all remember the picture of Lance, the furry that they showed? Does anybody else think that does not look like him? I do find it hilarious though. If we are in some kind of like dark satire where they tell Lance, this is what you got to say. And then he's like, no affect, right? And he forgets to say that they were furries. He was like, oh, did they ever go by Luna? Did you ever go by Luna? Yeah, that's his gamer name. Like it progressed into like some kind of other relationship. Yeah, I mean, we started dating. The first time I heard it while it was happening, I was like, you are literally the worst boyfriend ever. Because the attorney was asking him, well, what does Tyler do? I don't know. Like, he does electrical work or something. I think I think unfortunately he suffers from schizophrenia, and there's just something that tells me this because, which if he does, the kid needed help. Mom is a little bit, to me, says toxic positivity. I am sus on her, but, very good at piano, very smart. Like they found his Reddit account, and apparently he's well read and all of that too. Um, so it does seem to me like also in young men, they diagnose it earlier, but like definitely it will peak around that age if it hasn't been diagnosed yet. Mom is the problem. I'm just saying that's my pure opinion. I think it was her who probably sacrificed her kid and somebody else. I know. I want to know what meds he's on to not flip out during that. And also, when in the history of murder investigations, trials, did we allow the boyfriend of the one we're saying it is to leave out of state and not even charge them with as a co-conspirator or even like look into it? It's telling me that these guys were patsies. Well, I already knew that they were patsies. I've said this before, but if y'all haven't seen my What Happens in Vegas video, it's my first one, that we had found them being Googled in out of Vegas in July, with some other very interesting names. So that's part of the Google Trends thing. but these guys were unknown before then, and their address was being Googled. And then Anna found it Googled in Hebrew. So you can't tell me that that's just a coincidence. I'm sorry. They just didn't expect us to find all this stuff. So the kids were patsies. I know they didn't kill Charlie. I think we all know that. So this really sucks. Okay. So I don't think the third roommate exists anymore. I think, was it Candace who came out and said they used to have roommates and they were brothers, and one of them moved out. No. Yeah. One moved out, and then the one who was remaining ended up, I think he was in the military, and he left, so Tyler took his spot. So it was just the two guys. And what I also didn't understand is, like, they were talking about, you run everybody's DNA that has access to the house, but they ran the DNA only of Tyler's parents, but that condo or that apartment belonged to Lance's parents. So why they didn't, run theirs through it too, I don't know. Just to rule them out, to see what DNA was left over. Oh, I love Vegas, actually. What about? Yes. Okay, Cheesy, thank you for being here. So it is me on the thumbnail. Thank you. The only AI part about that is actually the car. And I like the original better than that photo, but whatever. I was just like, I'll go with it. But thank you. The spouse or the business partner. I mean, I think we all know that the one who, yeah, good night, Cheesy. Thanks for being here. And thanks for the coffee too. I haven't seen it yet, but thank you so much. I think we all know that none of them were the actual, like, detonators, right? But don't trust crazy eyes. Mom Lance was in Vegas beginning. Shut up. Lance's mom was in Vegas in the beginning of September and again last month. Are you serious? Crunk, how do you know that? You know who she was meeting with, I bet? Y'all know who? Anybody want to guess why we were Googling out of Vegas and why it was, like, such a big deal? It actually was like an intuitive download for me, but once we started looking into it, the winner, whoever can guess, I'll just tell y'all. It was Adelson lives there. Crunk, that is nuts. Was it on her Instagram or something? Okay. Let me write that down. Hang on. Meemaw. Yeah, Meemaw lives there. That's why it was relevant. So they were at the win? Are we sure? Okay, yeah, send me the tea. Send me the tea. And it's also not lost on me, obviously, that Blake Wynn is the guy that she was spotted with or whatever. I mean, it makes me sad because I do love MGM. I do love the MGM casinos because I just love to go there and sleep and hang out at the pool. That's it. So yeah, please send me the tea. Okay, so let's see what else. Giving seminars on being weird. We can definitely do that. Okay, I think I'm good. I'm going to look at the front fender. Let's see. I just want to make sure I was, like, getting through. Betty Davis coffin eyes? What? Y'all are crazy. Okay. Let me see. It's a young guy with a letter. I don't always believe that. I don't like schizophrenia is a demon possession. I think, I mean, I've known too many young men with it. It's just, I think it has a lot to do with the chemical imbalance. It's definitely different than what these people have. I can tell you that. And that sucks because schizophrenia is an awful disease for people to live with. But I think what we are seeing is demon possession, but not that one. Is the Moon Branch? Bad Romeo and Chucky doll play. Oh, you guys, I missed all this. How funny. Okay, y'all. So we're gonna get off of here. Stop looking at the timestamp. Can you look up the timestamp quick on that stoplight footage? Yeah. Hang on, just a second. Y'all can see Tyler Robinson hearing. I think that was day 2. Let me look at it real quick. Anybody else, if y'all want to leave, you can. I'm just looking at something that Prunella asked me to look up. And if you leave, thank you guys for being here. If you guys want a copy of the slides, I can definitely just let me know and I can send them to you. And you can at least have them to overlay on some of your other notes. Okay, let's see where we at here. Maybe it was day 1. Let me try that. Let me try day 1. All right. I feel like I can recite this backwards and forwards at this point. We need to like a good old Law and Order episode. Something that actually ends up working out.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to hear you. Thank you. Was it right at the end of it was. Hang on, I think I almost have it. Okay. Where's that? Okay. It's going to take me some time to find it. I think it's on day 1, but I'm going to have to look at it. So, Prunella, I will let you know. Do you want to, here, I'm going to drop gmail.com. Okay, Prunella, I'm dropping my, it's supposed to be drop.com. I can't find it right now. It's like I've got, for some reason, it's making me, I usually go through it at 2 times speed, but like going through it so slow. Yeah, thank you, Justin. What's up? Oh my gosh, what are you doing? That's so crazy. You're in here. Okay, send me the screenshot real quick. We're actually leaving, but good to see you. Oh my gosh. This was a really long drawn out one, so maybe it was better you didn't see this one, but yeah, this whole thing's crazy. Okay, send me that screenshot. California Underground, good to see you, man. Long time no see. I'm gonna go and end this, and thank you guys for being in here. If you want a copy of the slides, just let me know. I'll happily send them over to you. So you have to get ready for your show in 20 minutes? Okay, I'm definitely coming over to watch it then. It's good. All right, good night, you guys. Oh, good. I'm so glad you got something out of it. I'm really happy, and thank y'all for being here. I'm gonna work on doing the early time slot. I just want to be consistent for people, and I'm telling you, I'm not a morning person. And the idea of being ready to go and having already worked out and like all the stuff, I'm gonna have to be really structured. But we'll see if we can get that because it is an underserved time, and people like it a lot. So. All right, you guys, good night. Sweet dreams. Y'all go to sleep and leave this rubbish alone, okay? All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.